Levack and Goz, 104.5, the team. We are preparing for the bracket. Goz is sweating orange bullets as we wait to see if Cuse is going to get in. So we go to ESPN College Hoops insider Eamonn Brennan right now. As of right now, do you think Syracuse will be one of the final 68 teams?
Yeah, I would. And I think I would assume the committee probably would too. I mean, what Syracuse, no one's going to make it, have any illusions about Syracuse's resume being good, because it's obviously not. You can go back to the past 15, 20 years, and there have not been very many teams that have lost 14 games and gotten in the NCAA tournament. There's been, I think, 10 or 11 maybe, and, a handful of them were in 1 year. It's just not something that happens very often. And no 15-loss team has ever made it, so made it so Syracuse is really under the wire, just on a pure losses, historical precedent perspective, but this bubble is a little bit weirder than most, and I think what Syracuse did down the stretch of their year from really late January on to pick up quality wins, to repair their resume, and to even when they lost, to play much better basketball than they were early on. I think that matters to the committee, too. I think when you're losing to Louisville, at least you're losing in overtime and making a real go of it, as opposed to earlier in the year when you're losing to, Boston College by 15 and St. John's by 33. I think they've done enough to pick it up late in the year. I think they'll be okay.
Is there 1 to 3 teams in particular that if you're a Syracuse Orange fan, you're saying, please hope that this team falls or loses in the conference tournament so that team doesn't jump them in the at-large consideration?
Yeah, I think Wake Forest losing was nice for Syracuse for sure, because now Wake is in that same position, and I would probably argue a little bit closer to the bubble than Syracuse is. It's not by much. USC, you'd like to see lose. Rhode Island and Kansas State. Kansas State's going to play Baylor today. They win there. That's a big, big win for them. You want to see Illinois and Iowa lose. Cal out in the West Coast, although Cal's kind of fallen off a little bit here. I think the big one is probably Xavier. Xavier is, according to at least Joe Lunardi's bracket, Xavier is right neck and neck with Syracuse in the last 4 in category. And Xavier is still playing basketball. They have a chance to move on and get a massive win in the Big East tournament against Butler today. And if they do that, they might restore a little bit of the committee's confidence that has probably been lost as they've spent the last 9 games of their season losing to everyone not named DePaul.
He covers college basketball for ESPN. Eamonn Brennan joins us here on 104.5 The Team and 104.5theteam.com. Is there a chance we see a mid-major at-large team get in, whether it be Monmouth from the Metro, whether it be Vermont, who's had a great season in the America East? Do you see one of these at-larges from a non-power conference possibly getting into the field?
Yeah, I think Monmouth and Vermont are going to have a really tough time because it's just the wins aren't quite there, and the committee can be a little harsh with that. We also see surprises. So, historical precedent isn't everything. The committee does surprise us sometimes. I think Monmouth, I would say Vermont's probably more of a stretch than Monmouth. But Monmouth last year had a bunch of really good wins in the non-conference on the road and didn't get any real love from the committee when they lost in the conference tournament. I would be surprised if they did this year. I think a couple teams to watch if they lose in their conference tournament are UT Arlington in the Sun Belt, which has had a really nice year, won at St. Mary's. Their numbers all rate out really well. They've got a couple bad losses in their league play, but, generally speaking, have been really good. Another is Illinois State. Obviously lost to Wichita State in the Valley Final, but had the same record as Wichita State during the conference season. They both tied at 17-1. Illinois State was actually the 1 seed. It'll be interesting because there's disagreement about Wichita State and how good they are. I've seen some bracketologists have them not even in the tournament because of their lack of top 100 wins, but I think everybody else, for the most part, recognizes just how good they are and that the committee probably will as well. It doesn't matter now because they're an automatic bid. But if you think Wichita State is that good, it's interesting what you might make of Illinois State, which doesn't have those same wins and isn't quite as impressive as a resume or a statistical entity. But, went 17-1 in the same league and beat Wichita State once. So it'll be interesting to watch those ones for sure.
Eamonn Brennan joining us here from ESPN. He covers college basketball. Give us that conference tournament you're most looking forward to watching all the way to the end.
I think it's the ACC. I mean, the Big 12 is going to be good by default because, half the league is playing really good basketball at this point, now that Oklahoma State is kind of a force. But, mean, you kind of look at what the ACC is shaking up to be these next few rounds, and basically everyone has won on the seed line except for Syracuse, but that was an 8-9, obviously. So, you're talking about Duke and Louisville and all of these sort of matchups of, teams that have beat up on each other a lot during the year, but that will be really interesting to see how they move towards March, and teams that all have a chance, by and large, depending on kind of where you put Miami and maybe Florida State and maybe Notre Dame, maybe Virginia Tech doesn't qualify for this discussion, but teams other than that, that top 6 probably all has a chance to get into the Final Four. I think that's the one to watch.
Next week, the big tournament starts, the NCAA. There's always that breakout player, whether it's a Steph Curry, a Carmelo Anthony, someone who takes over the tournament. This time, 2 weeks from now, maybe even a week from now, give us the player we don't know about right now, but who's going to steal the first weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, if it would have, if Monmouth would have sealed the deal, I would have said Justin Robinson from Monmouth because he's been good 2 years in a row now. He's 5'8" guard with NBA sort of, looks. Like I think he'll probably be a second-round draft pick this year, if not a little bit better. So that's a good one. I think, so if they go to the NIT, I guess keep an eye on him. But, this is going to be an odd answer because I think he was the favorite for Player of the Year for most of the year, but I think people have kind of tuned out Josh Hart at Villanova a little bit, and this was the case all year last year when he played on a much more balanced roster and was still incredible, but just didn't put up the counting numbers to really get people impressed. But Josh Hart has been so good all season long. He's a fantastic player. He's great all around, and I think all it will take for him is one big game like he had, especially like he had early in this year where he was scoring 37 points on 14 shots and stuff. That's all it's going to take, I think, for people to get back on the bandwagon. Other than that, keep an eye on Jock Landale at St. Mary's. I don't know how many people have seen St. Mary's lose to Gonzaga. No shame in that, but St. Mary's is really good, and their center from Australia is like an efficient machine on the low block. He's got a great little face-up mid-range jumper. He's a really fun player.
It's one of the best times of the year. It's March Madness. Eamonn Brennan. Eamonn, appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the next few weeks here.
Will do. You too.